We all know that Egypt built pyramids. We also know that the Maya built pyramids, and so did the Aztecs. But what if I told you that almost every ancient civilization in the world built some sort of pyramid and not one of them ever met each other? Is this just a crazy coincidence, or is there something else at play here? Hey everyone, it's me, and this is Ancient Aliens. Today, we are going to find out why every ancient civilization built pyramids without ever meeting. So let's get started. Before we talk about how these civilizations managed to meet up and agree to build pyramids without ever seeing each other, we need to cover some basics. First off, what do we mean by pyramids? And second, which ancient civilizations actually built pyramids? As it turns out, quite a few civilizations around the world constructed pyramids. In fact, according to Graham Hancock, the author of several books on ancient history, there are over 100 known pyramids in the world today, with more being discovered every year. The majority of the pyramids we think of when we hear the word are in Egypt. These massive structures were used as tombs for the country's pharaohs. While most people believe that the Egyptians built their pyramids as tombs first and foremost, recent research has shown us that they may have served another purpose as well. According to researchers from the University of Vienna, Egyptian pyramids may have been used as astronomical clocks. Researchers used advanced imaging techniques to scan the interiors of the pyramids and found that they had a void inside, leading them to conclude that these voids may have been used to track the movement of the stars. Regardless of what they were used for, however, the Egyptians built pyramids for thousands of years, starting around 2630 BC and continuing until around 2030 BC. That's a lot of time to build pyramids. But Egypt wasn't the only place building them. In Mesoamerica, the Olmec civilization built the first pyramids as early as 1200 BC. Their pyramids were usually stepped pyramids made out of earth and clay, which can explain why most of them haven't survived until now. When the Olmec civilization fell, it was followed by the Zapotec civilization, who were quick to adopt the pyramid as their own. Unlike the Olmec, however, the Zapotec used stone to build their pyramids, which allowed them to last longer. One of their most impressive pyramids, Monte Albina, still stands today. The Zapotec ruled until 750 AD, when they were then replaced by the Mixtec civilization, who also continued to build pyramids. After the Mixtec, it was the turn of the Maya to take over. The Maya built some of the largest and most well-known pyramids in Mesoamerica, such as Tikal, which reached a height of 233 feet, making it the tallest structure in the region. The Maya built pyramids for over 2,000 years. However, they weren't the only ones. While the Maya were at the peak of their power, the Aztec Empire was just beginning to grow. The Aztec Empire only lasted from 1428 to 1521, and yet they managed to construct some of the largest pyramids in Mexico, including the Great Pyramid of Tenochtitlan, also known as the Great Pyramid of Mexico. This pyramid stood at an impressive 265 feet tall, making it the tallest structure in Mesoamerica. So you can see that quite a few cultures in Mesoamerica built pyramids, but they never met, so they couldn't have copied each other. Further south, in the Andes Mountains, the Nazca built pyramid-like structures too. What makes these pyramids unique is that they were mostly built on flat plains instead of on hills or mountains like others. They also built many other structures in the area and then connected them with roads, creating what Graham Hancock calls an enormous ceremonial center. Finally, we come to the most distant builders of pyramids, the Nubians. The Nubians lived in what is today Sudan and South Egypt along the Nile River. They began building pyramids during the same time period as the Egyptians, but while the Egyptians stopped building them around 2030 BC, the Nubians didn't stop until 1500 BC. This means they built pyramids for a full 500 years longer than the Egyptians did. As you can see, these civilizations were spread out all over the world, from South America to Africa to Mesoamerica and even into Europe. Each of these cultures built pyramids independently from one another, which raises the question, why? Why did every single one of these cultures decide to build pyramids? Even though they were separated by thousands of miles and had no way of knowing about each other's existence, pyramids show up in many different cultures throughout history. This leads us to believe that there must be some sort of explanation for why these cultures all built pyramids even though they were separated by thousands of miles and had no way of knowing about each other's existence. So let's get back to our original questions. How did they manage to meet up and agree to build pyramids without ever seeing each other? Or is there something else at play here? Well, the answer is probably going to surprise you. According to Graham Hancock, the Sumerians were the first people to invent the concept of zero, which would allow them to start counting. In order to count anything, you have to first establish a point where you're starting from. For example, if you want to count apples, you first need to establish the concept of 0 apples, which is an empty basket. Once the Sumerians invented the concept of 0, they could then use that as a starting point to count larger numbers. But here's the thing, to invent a concept, you have to get the idea from somewhere. Where did the Sumerians get the idea of 0 from? According to Hancock, they got the idea of 0 from a civilization in South America called the Nazca. How did they get it to them? Nobody really knows for sure, but Hancock believes that there must have been some sort of land bridge connecting South America to what is today the eastern coast of the United States. He believes that this land bridge allowed the Sumerians to travel to South America and pick up the idea of 0 before returning home and inventing their own writing system based on it. Hancock goes on to say that the idea of 0 would have been a huge help to the Sumerians because it would have allowed them to keep track of time much more easily. Time is constantly moving forward and it can be hard to keep track of. Using a concept like 0, they could then establish a point in time where they could start measuring from and keep track of how much time had passed. But what does any of this have to do with pyramids? Well, according to Hancock, the pyramids were used as a way to keep track of time. He believes that the pyramids were aligned with the stars in such a way that they would cast a shadow that indicated the time of day. This would have been useful to the Egyptians because they used the sun to tell the time, but they didn't have a watch or a phone to tell the time. They could use the pyramids to tell the time as long as the sun was shining. Pyramids were also used as a way to measure the passage of time. The Egyptians built pyramids as tombs for their pharaohs, but they also used them to mark the passage of time. The Egyptians believed that the pharaohs would rule over the dead and bring order to the chaos of the afterlife. So they built pyramids as a way to keep the pharaohs close by and under their control. As you can see, there are many reasons why the Egyptians and other cultures built pyramids, but what do you think? Do you think that the Egyptians and other cultures built pyramids as a way to keep track of time, or do you think that there is another explanation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're down there, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode of Ancient Aliens. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.